I have this part here, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna drop it into AutoCAD just so I can have it to reference there as well. How do I do that? What's an easy way to get this? Or first, what should I do to start AutoCAD? I got AutoCAD here. What should I do? How should I start? Yeah, make a new drawing based on my template. So I'm gonna go new, browse templates, find mine, and start it up. Now I've got my template. It's for me. It's starting the layout because that's where I saved it. Where do we want to draw? What's the easiest place to do our drawing? In model space. I'm just going to go to model, and I'm here, and I can work here. We'll go to put it in the layout later on. And so I'm here. Now I want to take that image and bring it in. Easy way is grab my snipping tool, right? Just down and dirty, grab it, and then paste it in here. Right? So this part is what kind of units is on this part? Millimeters. Does that matter here in model space? No, because I'm going to draw it 88, right? But I want to make this about the right size. So how can I make this image close to the right size? Right now, if I do a distance from there to there, it's 20. And it would be really small when I'm trying to work. So that's an easy way I can make it the right size. We did it last week. I can scale it. If I scale it, what option am I going to use? Oh. There you go. What option am I going to use? Is there an option that lets me tell it how big I want something to be? Yeah. What's it called? There's only two options there. Reference. I pick reference. I pick those 2 points, and I say 88. And it made it really big. Now I can take that, move it over here somewhere. Okay? I just have that to kind of, I can see it. If I want to scale it down later based on what I'm drawing, I can do that, no problem. So if I've got this, where should I start? What's going to be my primary view? Is it going to be looking at it this way, kind of down from the top? Is it going to be looking at it this way? Going to be looking at it this way, looking at it from this side? Which direction is going to be my primary view? Which view shows me the most about the shape of the part? Yeah, I could do the top down. This part it's got a lot going on, right? So top down shows me a lot. I've got 3 holes there. I've got this shape here. I've got that. That's a good primary view. Would this from the kind of the right side going in, would that be a good primary view? Does it show a lot about the shape of the part? Yeah? From the right side, what's that going to look like? What's the overall outline going to be? A rectangle, right? Not too much. What about looking at it from this way? That way I can see this angle, but I don't see the circle. So it's kind of up for grabs which way is going to show me more. I think that because of these circles here, I need to find where this edge is. The top view is going to be a good place to start. Even if we put that as the top view, this is again where sometimes we can, that's now it's my primary view, but it's going to be the top view. That's why I don't like the names of views. That's the one I'm going to start with. It's the most complex, and I'm going to work down. If this is the way the part's going to sit, then I would like it to look like this on the drawing. If the part was going to be mounted upside down, I'd want to flip it so that this is along the top. So kind of depends on how it's going to be used. But yeah, so I'm going to do that top view. How should I start doing that? What should I start with? Which circle? The big one. These two are both the same size. Those are both 19. That's 19, that's 19. There's a 19 right here, radius 19. And there's a radius 19 right here.
Oh, that's for the...
Yeah, that's still a circle. That's part of an arc, right? So which one should I start with? Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. But also, I need to have some I'm going to have to offset it a few times because I need to go from the center. I need to go 6 to go from the center line to here, right? Then I need to go 13 from this line to this line. And then I come straight down. I need to go 31 to there, and then 36 to there. So that's 67 from this edge to there. So I've got at least 1, 2, 3 offsets I need to do. So I'm going to draw a line that's 88. I'm just going to draw that line here. I'm going to draw it 88. And this is going to be the center line right here. Now I can draw at that midpoint 19, right? So now I've got this arc drawn and the center line. So what should I do next? So I do kind of want to get to this because that's going to help me give me my outer shape, right? What's the next thing I need to find? If I've got the center line, what's the next line I need to find? This line right here. Yeah, so I need to offset 6. The center to the line is the same as the radius, right? I'm going to offset 6. Now I have this edge. Do I need this line anymore? Yeah? And we could keep it or not. I'm going to do... I might as well turn that into a center line, right? There. Make it the right kind of line. Because I'm really big. So if I want to see the dots, because I'm in metric now, so in model space, that line is really small dashes. If I go into my layout, dashed. If I want to be able to see that here, though, I can type LTS for my line type scale. Maybe bump this up to like 20. Now it just makes those dashes bigger there. But in here, now the dashes are too big. So usually in model space, I don't worry about what the dashes look like. Because I don't care here because I'm going to print from the layout. But I know the screen, so I know that's a center line. So what's the next thing? I'm trying to get out to find this center point. What's the next line that I need to find? Yep. I'm going to offset 13. And maybe trim that away, right? I don't need that. I've got this line at 13. And I'm trying to get out here, this one. What's the next thing? Yeah, so I need to do the 31 and the 36, right? I don't really care about I don't want that line right there right now because it's going to get in the way. So that's easy math. I can do 67, right? Double check. Yeah. I'm going to go from this line over there. And now I can do my circle at 19 from there, right? I've got this line here, the circle here. Now we need to find out what connects to that. So remember, it's always find something, figure out how it's going to connect. What connects to this circle? Or to this arc? Line, right? Yeah. What does this line connect to? The circle here, right? Do I know where the sharp point of that is, or do I know where the center is? I know the center. So if I knew the sharp point, then I could just draw the line sharp and use the fillet command, right? But since I know the center of it, I'm going to need to probably just draw that circle first, and then draw a line that goes between those two arcs. What kind of a snap am I going to use for that? Tangent. And then this circle connects to this line, which goes there, right? So where is this corner? So I need to come 40 out from here. Where's this? Is it this line? Is this point that line that I selected? The other one. This line is selected as this line, remember? So it's this line. So from here, I'm going to go 40. Okay. Then I need a circle that's 13. So from that line, 13 radius. So circle, I'm just going to go up 13 and go back down to it. And so what do I use now? How do I get this line? Yep, so I do a line, shift right, tangent, that circle. Shift right, tangent, that circle. Should I do the other side? Or is there a better way to make the other side? Like mirror it, right? So I'm just going to work on this half for the most part. So anything else that I can do to kind of get this side more done? Maybe what's happening here? Does this line just end, or does it connect somewhere? The same one, right? I'll bring that over there. Anything else over here that I can do? This area? This right here? Okay, but what about with stuff that I already have? Add that fillet. So I can do my fillet. I want a fillet of what radius? 6, so what do I need to do? Yeah, so I need to tell it radius, tell it to be 6. Or you have to do it ahead of time. Like that line there. And it trimmed it off. Is that okay? Yeah, because I want to just mirror those two anyways, and then I can just trim off the little bit right there. And I'm just trying to draw a line from there that way, actually. I'll trim. I'll get rid of everything above that line. And might as well get rid of these two, right? And get rid of that line. So I've got all of this to there. What's the next thing? So I've got stuff up here, right? So how do I find where this line is? Midpoint of what? Oh, this line? Yeah, I could do that. So no. But I could draw a line just 38, right? Then I can move it from here, there. And then I can move, and I haven't talked about this yet, but I can do a window this way to pick it, right? Remember, left to right picks only what's all the way inside. I could also just type P, and that selects the previous thing I picked. There's also L for the last thing that was created. I can just hit enter. Now I can just click on that, tell it to go this way. How far? 3. And then how does it connect? So it's a concave radius, right? So where's that center going to be? If I want the radius to go this way, nope, because they're parallel. But maybe if I drew a line this way, all right, split radius 3. Now I can get that, right? If I didn't have this line though, I couldn't do it. That one. Oh, okay. They used to not let you do that. They used to always have to have something left over. But they've fixed that, I guess. So it works. See, no, the way to find out is try it. If the worst thing it could do is it would give me that cross out thing, and so then okay, draw the other one. And again, I want to keep it kind of to the midpoint, right? So I'm just going to grab that, bring it back down to the midpoint. What's the next thing? Anything else I can see from the top view? This thing, right? So where is this line? Actually, let's do this in the front view. Let's do the holes first, and then we can come back to that, okay? So this hole is easy. It's got the same center point as that. Diameter 19. And then this hole is where? 31. So 31 is from what line? From this line? This one, right? And then how far in? Oh, it's 50 between them, right? So how do I get that? How can I find out what from the center is to there without doing math? Do circle from where? Yeah, sure. Do that. So if I track from there and there, right? That's going to give me the middle there. And then I can do a diameter of 50. And where those cross, that's my center point, right? But that had to, I had to make sure that I tracked right there. Another way is I could have drawn a line, here, and then offset it 25. But that circle is actually a really good thing. I didn't have to make this one. If I had left that line from earlier, I would have already had it though. So I'll just do that. Circle, intersection, diameter 10, and then get rid of all those. So remember, if you just move your mouse over an O snap, you get that little plus sign, and then it's going to start tracking on your polar snaps from that one. And if you do another one, so now I've got 2 green dots, and they're tracking is activated on. It's tracking based on all of the polar settings from both of those, and it also will now find the intersection because I have intersection turned on as an O snap, right? So if I just come down to where they're both tracking horizontally and vertically, it's going to find that intersection of where those two are coming together. Okay. That's one of the things that took me a while to try and kind of figure out and kind of playing with it, and now I use it all the time. But I don't think I used polar tracking for the first 5 or 6 years it came out. I used the polar I didn't use it for a couple of years, and then I finally started playing with the track, and I was like, wow, this saves a lot of time. And now I use it all the time. And so that's one of the things, just play with it when you're doing commands. So, draw a line, and just touch the ends. Those two are just going to do that. But no, I didn't click. I just moved the mouse over it. So just move the mouse over it, and it turns on. Move the mouse over it, and it turns off. But even like on an arc now, because I have extension turned on, it'll track using extension around that same diameter of that circle. So that's one you can just kind of play with and see. But just practice, turn it on, turn it off. Turn it on, turn it off. Turn it on, turn it on. Find an intersection. Okay, so now what can I do? What should I do next? Is this half done? Yeah, this half is done, right? Except for the centerpiece. So what should I do? Make the other half. Yeah, so I'm going to select it all. Basically everything except for that circle, right? Go to mirror. Where's my mirror plane going to be? Where am I going to select? Yeah, just the center of that midpoint, something along that midpoint, and I'm just going to drag to the right. I don't care about how far it is, I just care about the angle, right? As long as I'm going horizontal and click, say no, I don't want to erase the original there. But these are now 2 different pieces, so now I can do join. Yes, combine those. Ah, that's not what I wanted. See what happens if I say no. So now those went fine. And then everything else good, except for this line is split. I like to have solid lines, not 2 half lines, not lines overlapping. All right, we've got all that, right? If I want to work on this view down here, what do I need to do? Project it. And so I can either project my lines first and then draw my lines and do offsets for the heights, or I can do my offsets for my heights first and then project lines. Sometimes I like to do the height lines, so that way when I project, I know where those need to stop. Because from here I can tell that, okay, this line is just in the bottom, this line is going to be in this section, this line is going to be the whole way. So I want to do that. I'm just going to draw a line longer than my part. Offset 10 for the base thickness. And then, oh, that's nice. How tall is this? Well, that was 10. One of those great Facebook drawings that doesn't have all the dimensions. So we got to make it up. So if this is 10, Actually, since I had done this, I'm gonna scale it again. And I'm gonna make it more precise. I'm gonna go from there straight down to there and tell that to be 10. That way I can just measure it. And 40 is, there you go. Good guess. I'm gonna offset it 40 from the bottom up. And now we can start projecting. And just to make it easy, I'm gonna switch to construction layer. I can project from there. And I'm just gonna use my grips to bring it down because I know that that line is only in the bottom, right? Over here, back down and do it there. And this line, what about this line? Does this go full height or half height? Full height. What about this line? Does this go full or to the line? To the line. And then this corner here goes full or to the line? To the line. So that's this line, that line. This line and this line are the same thing, right? This corner and that corner are the same? Yep. I'll switch all those to object. Do a little trimming. Get rid of all that. Get rid of all that. Does this line go along here or should I trim it? Trim it. What about this line? Keep it or trim it? Keep it? The line right there? Because this line, this edge is this. This edge is that. Where the shapes have to match. So this is an L. It needs to be an L. Does it sometimes leave blobs? Oh, sorry. So we've got this now. I'll try to move less. What is the next thing we need to work on? The arch. In the angle? Yeah. So I need to come out 20 from this back line and then angle it down to the same as the center of this, right? So let's project that down. And then I'm just going to do a line. From here, I'm going to track, tell it that way, and just say 20. Right? And then just go to the bottom there. Now I can just make this line extend to there. And then draw from here back up, right? That back up. Oops. Actually, how wide is this? 10. So right now I've got this line at the end point of that line, right? So what would be an easy way for me to find this corner? Because right now I'm right here. I want to find that corner. Add 5 to it, right? So I can click on it, click the end, drag it up. And you can see where the edit box is. It's on how much is being added. That's why I don't like letting go of the mouse. 'Cause you let go of the mouse, sometimes you do that. I like to keep it on so I can keep it pointing. I can just add 5 to it. Another option, go to modify, use my lengthen command. And then say delta, which just means change. And I can say 5. Now I can just pick on that and it's going to make it 5 long there. And I'm going to use that again. But now I'm going to say total. I want the total length of that line to be 10, right? I'm going to say 10. And now I'm going to click on this side so that goes away and leaves me there. I'm going to show you another way. So I could also have done that with grips. I can pull it out, tell it add 5. I could grab this and pull it up, hit tab. felt 10. I did tab a few times, so lengthen was a little bit easier to use for that. Where's my... Why am I using the hot water line type? There. Guess I was playing around with this. So now I can just go back to my object line, draw lines from there all the way to there, right? Do some trimming. And make all of these be object lines also. Right. Does that make sense? So do we need the right side view on this? Is it going to give us anything new? No. So we could do it just for practice. But it's not going to give us any new things. So I'm going to not do it. Because when we're picking views, we want to use the least amount of views needed to fully describe the part. The right view is not going to add anything new, and that's going to take a bunch of time doing it this way. If it was in 3D, like if we're doing it from Fusion or SolidWorks, making that right side view would be 2 clicks, right? But if we're doing it manually, not worth the time for it. Yep. Oh yeah, that huh? So I'm gonna again track over to the side, draw my line down, track over that side, draw it down, track over there, draw it down. Make all of those hidden lines. Trim. And I'm gonna tell it I want to use cutting edges because I don't want to have to trim a bunch of stuff up there. So I want to stop it. I want to stop it at that line, that line. Oh, no. Not that line. That line. That line, right? I can hit enter. I can do that. So that cutting edges option is real nice so that you want to go through another line and you don't want to have to hit it a bunch of different times. So now are we done? Yep. We can do some center marks and stuff. We'll do that. But so now I want to put it on my paper. Okay. So what size paper do you think is going to get better on? An A or a B? Probably a B. Just because on a B, the title block takes up less of a total area than it's the same size, but it comparedly to the paper, it takes up less space. So I have more space to work with. This one's got to have a lot of dimensions, so I'm going to do it a B. Why is it cutting off right there? Why aren't I seeing the bottom of this? Any ideas? Oh, so right here, this is my viewport, right? So it only shows within the viewport. The viewport is like taking... The model space is the real world. That's you guys, right? Or even I could do this and look at model space here. This piece of paper is my layout. The viewport is a hole I ripped in the paper. Okay. You guys are really big, but I can see you in the paper, right? If I put the paper over something close, it fills the screen, it fills the hole. If I move it far away, it becomes smaller in the hole, right? That's what we're doing. The viewport is the hole in the paper. It lets us see through our piece of paper that we're going to print into model space, which is the real world. Okay? So if we zoom and make things smaller, they look smaller. If we zoom and make things look bigger, they look bigger. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. So I'm going to go into here. This is just my edge of my layout. So right now, my viewport layer I've got locked. So that means I can't change it. See, there's no grips. If I click on it, unlock it, now I get grips. So now I can adjust it if I wanted to. So depending on how I wanted to do things. But I like to leave it locked so that I don't accidentally grab it and do stuff. I don't like to have it all the way on this line, because then if you accidentally click when you're doing that stuff in your title block, you can click into the viewport and then you're stuck. So like if I had this all the way down and I was looking in here and I went to go change this, but instead of clicking there, I clicked here. Now it's doing that, right? You can see the viewport scaling behind it, but I'm kind of stuck. I think some of you did that when you were making your templates. So easy way to get out of that, just lock it here in the bottom right. Now I can zoom out. But because of that, I like to keep it above. And usually above the whole thing, but at least above where I'm going to be clicking on things to edit the title block. Then I'll just lock it. So I'm going to double click. Now I'm in the viewport. I can zoom in and out. I can pan. I can position my views on the paper. What if I want them to be further apart? I can do it in model space, or I can do it here. I can grab this, I can move it, right? Can I just move it over here? What's the rule when I move a view? It has to stay in line, so I have to keep my tracking up and down. I can move it down or up, but I can't move it sideways. So maybe I'll put it there. But I want it to be at a certain scale. Right now, this is just some random size, right? So down here, I have my list of my scales. On the template, did I have you make this metric one? No? All right, then let's get in there and do that. All right, and you're probably gonna have a lot more on your list, right? So if you go into custom, you can go in and delete some of those other scales. So there's a bunch of architecture scales that came on the default template, like quarter to a foot and all those. You can just select all those and delete. But I want to add one in here for this metric, so I'm going to say add. I want to call it 1 to 1M, just so I know that that's what it is. So paper units are what type of unit? What size is our paper? Is it in metric or in inches? It's in inches, right? So this means 1 inch equals 1 drawing unit. And so right now, our drawing units are millimeters. So how many millimeters per inch are there? .4. I can say okay, okay. And now when I click here and I say 1 to 1M, that is full size. So if I print it out from here and I measure it, that'll be 40 millimeters. And this might work. It might be too big though. So I can also do a new one. Say 1 to 2 metric. 25.4, and I'm going to say half. I want half of a drawing paper unit to equal that. Now when I go in and I pick 1 to 2 metric, it gets half as big. Okay, does that make sense? That's probably too small. So I'm going to go to 1 to 1 again, and I'm going to move this. Unlock it. I want to move it over here. We'll do an isometric later on this week, and I'll put it over there. But for right now, move that up a little bit. Kind of position my views over here. And so now I've got my views positioned. I'm making sure I don't roll the mouse when I do that. or else now my scale's not right anymore. So position it, make sure the scale's done, and then lock your viewport. Now I can zoom in and out, and it moves the paper, the layout with my viewport, with model space. Okay? Make sense? So now I can go over to my dimensions, and I want to make sure that I'm using the video on setting up your dimension styles. The styles there might say annotative and standard, or just standard, but you want it to be annotative. You want to have this symbol here. That means it's going to scale your dimensions to whatever your layout is. So if I add a dimension here now, it is going to be 1/8 of an inch tall compared to the paper. If I change my viewport scale to 1 to 2, that one goes away. But now when I put a dimension in, it's still the same size compared to the paper. And if I go back to the other one, they switch. If I go to model space, I see both. Unless I go down here and I tell it here to show only which ones are matching with what I pick here. So I could dimension them here also. I could pick the same scale here as in my viewport and the dimension here. But it gets a little, people forget to make sure they do that. And then the dimensions are all the wrong size. So I always say dimension in your layout, so that way you can see where your border is and everything. Oops. Lock it. And this is where we do our dimensioning. So where's that? Oh. You get the idea. Putting dimensions here. You can click on it, grab the grip, reposition it. I like my dimensions between the arrows. Bump that. So here's a good. I don't know where I put that. The arrows kind of want to jump in or out. Sometimes they fit. They don't want to jump. Sometimes they do. But we have a lot of properties. The one that I like to adjust for dimensions is under the dimension text, the offset. If I make this like 0.5, it's going to force those arrows to go outside. There's not enough space for the arrows and the text, and it'll pop them outside. Okay, does that make sense? So then we can go through and just finish dimensioning the drawing as we want. And then go in and edit, double click out here, get back to paper space. You can also see over here the icon. It's like this big triangle. That's our paper space icon that we're drawing on the paper. For in the viewport, we get the model space UCS, just like in model space. Okay. Also down here, it says model. I click on that, it says paper, and it kicks us back out to the paper space. Now I'm drawing on the paper there. Okay. Any questions? So that's kind of the whole process of starting a drawing, doing the projections, getting into the layout, and starting to add your dimensions. Okay, oh, all right.